Welcome to episode 85 of the Nerd Rundown podcast. Coming up this week on the big show, we return to the land of bounty hunters and adorable Jedis with a new trailer for season 3 of The Mandalorian. Netflix continues to be the outlet mall of movie studios, but their hype trailer for 2023 is out, and it's looking pretty good. Morgan is back on the rundown, and he's packing an 80s versus 90s Nerdbox question that has us doing some serious battle. Finally, we start the show with some great news from one of our own. Ready? Hit it!
Hey nerds, welcome back to the Nerd Rundown podcast, where we cover the latest in the nerd world of movies, TV, and more. I'm Darren Stemple, and with me today is my co-pilot, Eric Hare.
Hello, everybody.
And our big Morg is back, Morgan Santo.
It's good to be back.
Oh, it's good to be back.
It is good to be back.
It is good to be back, yes.
It's good to have you back.
Yeah,
Always.
Even though you
love
were
having
partially back last week. You were half back. Were you a half
very
back
bummed
last?
I had to miss out on something.
You weren't full back. You were a half back
half
last
back.
week.
Left side, strong side.
Yes, could be. Because you didn't do the rundown, but you did do the presents show with us. So
Yes.
yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Sorry, Morg, I forgot about you last week. Welcome back. We love having you. You can find us on our social media at the Nerd Rundown. While you're there, hit the like and the subscribe buttons. If you're liking what you're seeing and hearing, then like it and subscribe to it so we can continue this podcast. We love doing this for you guys, and we really appreciate it. Had some really great numbers recently for the pod, and very proud right now. Very, very proud. Also, if audio only is your thing, you can find us on all the major podcast services. Before we get to the show, though, I want to get to a word in about our sponsor, Combat the Chaos. Hey, nerds, do you support your veterans and first responders? Well, here at the Nerd Rundown, we support our heroes, and not just the heroes that you see behind me that are drawn to wear a cape or throw a shield, but the real heroes who would lay their lives down so that we can talk about whatever kind of nerd we are. At the Nerd Rundown, our new sponsor, Combat the Chaos, is a veteran-owned clothing company. They donate portions of all their profits to veteran and first responder supporting organizations that are focused on mental health and suicide prevention. Veterans are at a 57% higher risk of suicide instead of those who have not served. This shirt is one of the items you can purchase if you follow our link to find them on Instagram at combat.the.chaos. Or at their website, combatthechaos.com, and use the code NRD for 15% off. Now, back to the Nerd Rundown. Welcome back to the Rundown, Morgan. Before we get to the Rundown, something that Eric and I kind of started last week is, we've talked a lot about making sure we're bringing you guys new content, new stuff to listen to, and we always talk about some of the best parts of doing this show is actually parts that the nerds out there don't get to hear because it's the kind of stuff, scenes where all of us are just joking around, making fun of Morgan usually. And so we've been trying to.
I'm usually crying before the episode starts.
It's like shooting fish in a barrel sometimes. Just make it in on it. It's awesome. So we wanted to try and figure out ways to bring that to you guys. And so, we're thinking, okay, maybe we cut down on the rundown a bit and we just talk about some really fun stuff going on in our lives. And I'm going to start that off with a big shout out to a part-time host on this show. Done a great job. He's one of our makers, Mr. Brett King. Give him a little props, I guess, for lack of better terms there. Big props to Mr. Brett King, who got engaged on Saturday night. So
Congratulations. Yeah, golf
give
clap.
Mr.
We get a
Yeah,
golf
Mr.
clap.
Brett King deserves our love and respect. And in the most
Awesome.
nerd way possible, he proposed through a Lego set, which
That's awesome.
if you know Brett, there's no other way for him to do
Beautiful.
this.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I'll see if I get I'll see if I can get that picture, and
I'll send it to
I
you so
want
you
to
can
see it
throw it
so
up
bad.
there.
I'll put it in the
I want
pod.
to see it.
I'll put it on the.
He made a Lego set of his dining room. Him and his now fiance are finishing up their own home that they bought recently. So a lot of good life developments for Brett King lately.
Yeah, congratulations. Brett.
The Lego
Brett.
set was his dining room, and he said there's six windows in the dining room. When she starts putting the windows together, she'll know she's putting together a Lego set of our dining room. Okay. It's like at that point, I'm gonna put there's a a Lego Brett King and a Lego Christie, which is just about the cutest thing ever. Is he's gonna put the Lego diamond from the Black Cat Lego set, really ingenious here, in the Brett King the Lego Brett King's hand, and then he's gonna wait for the
Amazing.
response, and then he'll ask.
Amazing.
Of course, she said yes. Very happy. He also had his Philadelphia Eagles win on Saturday night, so he's a happy man right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. I don't know. Brett, I think you got to tell her that's a sign. She's got to quit being a Giants fan and go to the Eagles fan. She got engaged that night. Eagles beat the Giants. She's got to switch.
Got to adopt the Eagles as her team.
It's time.
That would be like
I would prefer
trying
none
to-
of those things. They all need to be Washington fans, is what it comes down to.
Yeah, we got a bunch of NFC East
Yeah,
peeps
rough.
here tonight.
The Cowboys
That's right.
fans.
Are you still calling them? Are you calling them Commanders? Or how
I
has
still
that
just
transition
refer
been
to
for
them as
you?
Washington. I'm neutral.
Yeah.
The embarrassments continue with that organization.
Man.
They rolled out some goofball mascot the other day, Toddy or something like that, and I was like, God, this is just dumb. Like this is
it
just gets worse. It's like the first thing you do when you're in a hole is stop digging, and they just can't. They just keep digging further and further down. So
yeah, it's kind of like, well, it must be in the water there. A lot of it's just
ridiculous.
like politicians. Really.
Yeah.
So
right.
big shout out to Brett King. Can't wait to have you back on the show, Brett. All right, next thing, I've been having the word creativity on my mind a lot lately, and Eric and I actually talked about creativity recently and how we both kind of claim ourselves as not creative, yet we've been able to create show and do new things for the show. Eric has learned so many cool little things with editing the show and putting the graphics up on the screen, and the new background. Everything looks so great, and it I would say that takes some creativity, like a level of creativity. And this weekend I've been thinking about just all different kinds of things with this show lately, and so I've been listening to a lot of synthwave music, which brings you kind of like back to the 80s nostalgia feeling a little bit. And I really got my creative juices going. I know, Eric, you say you don't think you're a creative guy, but what do you do to get into that mode where you need to learn? I want to do these graphics, or I want to do this background. How do you get into that mode? What do you listen to music? Do you put a movie on in the background?
No, I'm actually
sense.
I'm the exact opposite to a lot of people, because a lot of people are like, they like to have all that stuff. I have to have it like bone quiet. Like I'll turn on my noise canceling headphones and not even listen to anything. Like I'll just have it be like even like a white noise or whatever. Like that.
Yeah.
Just
like
helps me singular focus on something. If I'm trying to learn something or whatever. So if I'm trying to learn something, if I'm putting something together, again, like with the podcast, like when I do the podcast, I can't really have stuff on in the background, because like I have to be listening to for cues like in the show and where I want things to go. So it doesn't really lend itself, at least at my stage of learning the tool and the trade, if you will. I'm sure after I've edited like 4 billion views or something like that, it'll probably be a little bit different. But yeah, no. If I'm doing, I will say if I have a creativity streak, it's probably in my lawn. Like my lawn care stuff. Like I love doing. Yes. Now, if that's the case, I am listening to music. I'll put in some I'll put in some earbuds, and then for me, it is 80s, 70s, and 80s classic rock, or like pop stuff. Like that's 70s, 80s, 90s, all that.
Justin
stuff.
Timberlake. I know you're a big JT.
I do sneak some JT in there. Yep, I do sneak some JT in there, and there's some newer stuff that's kind of slid in under the radar. Some Dua Lipa and. I really like this band Odessa. They're kind of a electronic music band and stuff. They're kind of like the Crystal Method, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So little something about Eric there, like that, and put up the lawn picture again because that thing is immaculate.
Yeah. It's under a bunch of snow right now, but yeah.
Yeah. This is what it feels like to live in Minnesota, apparently.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, snow doesn't melt. All right, Morgan, what do you do to get your creative juices going?
Yeah, usually for me, it's going to be either music or a podcast. I like to have the podcast on in the background. I don't know, something about hearing people talk with each other. I don't know. It just gets me going, and I'm thinking now it can be a little bit of a distraction sometimes if I'm like, oh crap, I really got to listen to this. But the music is a big one. If I'm trying to be creative, I love listening to music. I usually listen to a lot of rap, usually 90s rap, so a lot of Biggie.
Hell yeah.
Wu-Tang, stuff like that is what I like to listen to. And then occasionally, I'll get some classic rock going. Like Tom Petty is one that I can just really just relax, get in the zone, and I love listening to Tom Petty. So
okay. I'm feeling 80s talk of the 80s today isn't over. That's going to come back up a couple times, I believe. All right. And my last piece of this is I want to know what we're all kind of working on at the moment. What are we doing these days? I know we're all watching The Last of Us, which stay tuned for the Nerd Rundown recaps, episode 2, coming up this week. Eric does a great job putting that together. Very, very excited about this episode. A lot of great stuff.
Loaded.
Loaded. I know that Morgan's answer here is he's really dug in deep on Andor and he's really enjoying it. So, Eric, I'll ask you, what else are you working on these days?
Well, we just finished last night Jack Ryan. So we finished that
the other
night. Another terrific hit by Krasinski.
Yep.
I'm looking at starting. There's a couple of shows that I'm looking to start here. I've got to start one. Meg's got one that she really wants me to watch.
Severance.
Oh
man, and Captain Dunsel, and you can add me to the mix.
Everybody wants that, yeah.
Yeah. So Severance is one. I am interested in this new show Poker Face that's coming out, I think on Peacock or whatever.
From Ryan Johnson.
Ryan Johnson. It's about one of the gals from American Pie.
The curly haired girl.
Yeah, really funny. She's so funny in everything she does.
Veronica. I'll look it up. It's Veronica something.
Yeah. Anyhow, she plays a character that's able to tell if people are lying or not. And so she's got some.
So it's not about Lady Gaga.
No.
Yeah, I bet if they don't have Lady Gaga in it, I'm going to be very
biopic / biopic.
I was very close to Veronica. Natasha Lyonne.
Yeah, she's so funny.
And Adrian Brody.
Yeah, Adrian Brody's in it. Yeah. So it's a show. I think there's actually going to be a bunch of guest stars that are supposed to be in it. So I think there'll probably be, some people that'll pop up over time. But yeah, those are the kind of the two things. In addition to I watched The Rookie. Looking forward to the new season of Survivor coming up and all that. So, but yeah, other than that, that's pretty much.
Everything.
What's that?
Everything Everywhere All at Once coming up.
Oh yeah, I do have to put that one in the queue. I've got it in the queue. I just need to watch it. So
I think tomorrow, Tuesday, it will be announced as a Best Picture nominee.
You know what's funny is I watched. We're talking about 80s stuff. I'll hit it again. I saw something on Twitter the other day. I cannot remember what it was, but for the life of me, but it was just a small clip. They were talking about Welcome to Columbia or something like that, and they showed a clip from the movie Romancing the Stone, where they go down the hill and then he ends up between her legs and he like looks up. It was really, I don't remember what the meme was that it was about, but it was really, really funny. And it got me thinking about that movie. And so that one's on my list too, is I want to rewatch Romancing the Stone. I think that's a classic.
It's come up a lot, I feel like, especially on this podcast. I feel in the last year or so, it's come up a lot, and it's made me want to go back and rewatch it at some point, because Banana really loves that movie too. So
oh my gosh, and I, I remember watching it as a kid, and it's a decent movie to watch as a kid, like a young person, because it's plenty of action and the characters are very simple, and it's not dirty. Like there's no real bad language, and there's no real, sex stuff or anything like that. So,
right. Yeah. Morgan, are you romancing the stone these days?
Is that what the kids are calling it these days? So, no, I'm not romancing the stone. No, I haven't finished Andor.
Yeah, we know.
Jack Ryan, I finished. So
yeah, good.
No, so for me, it's actually been a decent amount of gaming lately.
Okay.
I've been playing Overwatch 2 with some buddies, which is a fun multiplayer game. And I got the Callisto Protocol game, which is like Dead Space. It's made by the same people, very similar. And I'm kind of going through that right now. BT hosted before. He went through it as well, and it's not bad. Not bad. I probably shouldn't have spent $70 on it, but it's not bad. But that's what
I'm going back now.
Yeah, that's what I've been up to.
Man, a big year gaming coming up. Cannot wait for 2 big projects this year. So I'll be right there with you playing a lot of games. Been kind of on a hiatus from it since playing The Last of Us.
Jackson's really, because we had got that Stadia. I think I talked to you guys about that. Google Stadia had some games and stuff on there, and one of them was that Jedi
Fallen Order.
Yeah, Fallen Order game, and he really liked it. And so he's been asking me if we can get it on the Switch now, because the Stadia stuff is all gone. So I was like, I don't know, man. I'm kind of stalling because I'm hoping that if I stall long enough, I'll just buy him the new one and he can start playing that
that's
one.
What I would do. Wait for the new one.
So, but
wait for the new one.
So,
well, let's stay in that Star Wars world of. We got Jedi. Is it? Yeah, Jedi Survivor is all it's called. Jedi Survivor coming out in middle of March, I believe. I think March 17th, right?
Yeah.
On March 1st, we're going to get Mandalorian Season 3. And we got our first trailer. Kick off the rundown here. Mando is back. We are in Pedro Pascal's world, and I'm loving it. Like, can I just live in Pedro Pascal's world where he is on a
the boss? He's just amazing.
He's like the narrator of my life.
Mm-hmm.
Eric, what did you think of the Mandalorian Season 3 official trailer?
The trailer looked great, really great. Like I'm really
I love the excitement. I can feel it on your face.
Yeah, I'm like really pumped for this. But it got me thinking a little bit. You're watching it because it's been a little while since we've had some Mando stuff. It's been longer. It's been probably not as long. It's been longer for you guys than it has for me because that took me forever to watch Boba Fett. But I kind of chuckled to myself.
But that episode 5 of Boba Fett.
Worth it.
Yeah. So I kind of chuckled to myself because after watching the second episode of The Last of Us, the premise of both those shows is exactly the same. Like Pedro Pascal plays the exact same character, just in 2 different ones, except one he's wearing a mask. It's not really him, but it's his voice. But he basically is responsible for the safety of this child and moving it from one place to another place. And then with The Last of Us, he's, Pedro Pascal moving a child from one place to another to make sure it's safe.
That's why we call him Papa Pedro.
Yeah,
because he's always the daddy.
Yeah. So, but I loved the whole thing. You know, I'm amped. That's all I'll say.
Yeah.
I just the special effects still look terrific.
Yeah.
What
stood out the most to you?
I love
lasting image.
I love the gosh, man. It probably is not the most visually cool one. I think one of the ones where he's going through hyperspace in his like X-wing, you know, but then or his starfighter thing, but then there's a clip and it's very, very, very brief, but it just was like, oh man, that looks so cool. Is when there's like the doors open up and all these
the
Mandalorians just like jump down and they're like,
like an Edge of Tomorrow.
Yeah,
almost.
exactly. And I watched that scene probably 2 or 3 times because I was like, oh my gosh, that is so cool.
Like, oh, that is cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. I don't know what they're doing, but I'm in. So
why do they need to be dropped out? But we'll see. Totally. Loved the relationship that Mando has with Grogu. Really is showcased hardcore in this trailer. You really feel the relationship there. Morgan, what did you think about the trailer?
Yeah, my hype is through the roof. The trailer was amazing. Same with Eric. I mean, that when they were dropping out, I was like, oh, that just looks so cool. Like, that was just so cool. You know, it's like whenever you watch like a war movie, you know, they're jumping out of the plane and stuff, and you're like, wow, that's just, you know, it's just, I can't wait. I think it's going to be really good. I'm interested to see what they do with the relationship with Grogu, and will Grogu start doing a little more now that he's got just a little extra training? You know, what's really going to happen there? And who, or if he's going to run into anyone, maybe a little Cal. Can we get a secret Cal nobody knows about?
That
Would be amazing. But we'll see. I think there's going to be a nice surprise in store for us in this season that nobody's expecting.
I mean, season 2 gave us like the greatest thing ever at the end of the finale, right? How do you top that? And it's going to be hard. I don't know if you need to top it. You just need to make sure you tell a good story. And the story of him having to go back to Mandalore and, you know,
Mandalorian again.
Be forgiven for his transgressions.
Yeah,
I think that's a really cool way to take this. It'll be interesting what they do with Grogu, though. That's going to be, you know, he's got to have a purpose now. Because before it was like protect him, get him to the Jedi. Now it's like, what do you do with him?
Right. And what do you train him as?
So question.
Yeah.
The scene
questions
with the speculation here. I have my theory, but the scene with all the Jedis with their lightsabers all lit up. It looked like they're waiting for something to come through the door. Flashback.
Looks like that's the night. Yeah, looks like the night of Order 66.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Is that Order
that was
66?
Teased in Boba Fett.
Which, by the way, that was flying up the other day. I saw it on there's a the website that tracks like airplanes and stuff. That Order 66 plane was up flying the other day. I think it's hilarious that they used it every time. It's like the plane responsible for Doomsday. Like if the nuclear weapons were to get launched, it's Order 66. I'm like, okay, well, at least you got a sense of humor about it, you know. So.
Yeah, I'm wondering.
First plane out of Jakarta.
Yeah,
I think. Like, I wonder if we're going to get Anakin walking through that door.
Yeah, that's
and that's what I've heard too. Is that Hayden Christensen is supposed to be in this season, so I think that's probably going to be the case.
It'll be interesting. I can't wait. I know my girls can't wait. They're both so excited. This is one property I can easily watch with with all 3 of my ladies. So very excited for that. Next in the rundown. I know we've got somebody very excited for this. So I'm going to just put this off a little bit longer.
Just a little bit.
Eric, Rainbow Six movie announced with John Wick director Chad Stahelski. without remorses, Michael B. Jordan back in the role of John Clark. Take it away.
Got something to say.
Yes. Yes. I'm super excited for this. This is one of my favorite books of all time. So it's going to be a little strange because of how things play out, but they did a decent job of without remorse that they did, which from what I understood originally was supposed to be a theater one, and they ended up just throwing it on streaming because of COVID and stuff pandemic, like that. You know, so I cannot wait. This one is going to be theater only, is what I did see. So this is one that they're prepping for the theater, which is terrific. Again, watching the Jack Ryan series and knowing how
who's
dense
the studio behind it?
Paramount.
Sorry. Okay.
Paramount.
Yep. Paramount.
Good to know.
Owns
Good
all
to
that
know.
stuff. Yep. So, I'm a little okay. So I'm excited to see this property come to the big screen. I want to see it on the big screen. I want to see all that stuff. That being said, with how great they've done stuff over the last few years with 9 and 10 episode seasons where they take a book and they just throw it out in 10 episodes, like I kind of feel like I'm a little jealous that we're, you know, because we got like the terminal lists, you know, you got like the terminal list, and the terminal list is nowhere near as dense as Tom Clancy's novels are, you know. So I kind of
I see where you're going.
I kind of would like to see it stream, like to go to a series instead of a movie, but I'll take what I can get. I want to see. I want to see. I love Stileski as the director.
Stahelski.
Yeah, I cannot say how excited I am
Waiting
about
on
that.
Meg on that one.
And I really enjoyed Michael B. Jordan as John Clark. It changes things a little bit. The thing that gets me here is it changes things a little bit because of his age. Because in the original Rainbow Six, he is the commander. He's much older, and he sits on the sidelines. He really doesn't do a lot of the action stuff until a certain point in the movie. The majority of the action is actually taken care of by Ding Chavez, and so we'll see how that gets cast. I'm really excited and really interested to see who they're going to cast as Ding, because he is a badass of the highest order, and like all of the guys on the team are really, because basically what it is just the very premise of it. I don't know if it actually talks about it in there, but they put together this anti-terrorism team. John Clark puts together this international anti-terrorism team that can be sent into any of the NATO countries within a couple of hours notice in case of a terrorist situation or hostage situation. And so they take a guy from Germany, they have a guy from France, they have a British one. They have, so they've got all these different guys from all these different countries, and that's where you get the rainbow.
They took a guy from France?
Well, I think they do. Well, they need a cook. So they need somebody to bake. So
they always need that one guy to go.
So they have all these guys that they pull from, and then John Clark's is 6 is his call sign. So anyhow, I'm really excited about it. Really excited about it.
Sure.
Really looking forward to it. Like I said, I kind of would like to see it on TV, but it's fine. I'm okay with it. But I can't even believe I'm saying that, because I am the theater guy. Like, I want to see everything on the theater, but I feel like we've turned a corner in television where
everything needs to go there.
Yeah, most books translate better to a long form series on TV. And with the budgets that you can put into these things, I mean, hell, Amazon threw $1 billion at the Lord of the Rings stuff, like $100 million, $200 or $300 million budget for one of these over 10 episodes or whatever. Holy smokes, dude.
Yeah, it's almost better to be in a TV show than a movie now. Like, celebrities would rather, the good things to be in a good show than a movie.
Quality wise, unless they want to make that money, you never know. Make that box office money.
Yeah, the box office money is really where I think it kind of comes in.
I'll
and
take
stuff,
whatever.
So,
Morgan, what do you think about this? I know there was a Rainbow Six game a long time ago.
I played Rainbow Six Siege a lot. That was a fun game. So if it's anything like that, it should be fun.
Yeah, like tell us a little bit about how I'm sure they'll want some of the game to influence the movie, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a team deathmatch game, but it's more tactical, like where you can board up windows, bust them through, plant bombs. You're usually saving a hostage or something. It's it's a neat game.
Did you have to? Yeah, because you have to use like stealth and surprise and stuff like that. Now, in the game, did they require you to use like team tactics, like it was you were in command of the team and you could send two guys around this way?
I feel like that's what it was, right?
Yeah. Not since everybody's
like from the very first
playing
game,
with
right?
people online. Like, I mean, you could tell them to go that way, but they don't necessarily have to. But if you don't work as a team in that game, you're usually going to lose.
Yeah.
Unless you got somebody that's just insanely good at it or something and can kill the whole team. But so it's one of those. So
on Call of Duty,
the games are fun. Now, will this movie should Krasinski be in this? And
no,
is Ryan? Okay,
yeah. So at that stage of things, Jack Ryan is actually president of the United States, or he's at least as far as the books and stuff are concerned. No, he's not president, but he's still around. They do have some interaction, but not in that book. I don't think there's any interaction between the two of them. So,
okay.
Yeah. Rainbow Six and for the most part, Without Remorse is kind of they're kind of standalone tales of their own. You get with the Without Remorse, you actually get, if you go back in John Clark's history in the book, it's Jack Ryan's dad, who is a Baltimore detective, or I think he's a Baltimore detective or DC detective, who is tracking Michael B. Jordan's activities through his nocturnal activities against the drug guys and all that stuff. So there is a connection between John Clark and Jack Ryan, but only through his dad, and John never he never knows that. So Jack never really knows that. So,
gotcha.
But yeah,
they may change things for the TV verse. You never know.
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah.
1998 was Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six on PlayStation 1 or Nintendo 64.
Like the first one. Yeah.
That was the first one where I think you did make decisions as a team leader.
Yeah, where you could direct them. Yeah, because you weren't playing with people; you were just playing with AI.
As a tactical shooter video game.
The premise of the book is actually pretty interesting. If they and it pseudo lends itself to our current response to the pandemic, if you will. So there's a environmental group that thinks that there's too many people on the planet, and so they need to thin the herd a little bit, and let the Earth go back to what it was, And so
I get it.
Yeah, and so they spread they have a plan to spread something, a virus of some sort, and but how they deliver it is actually quite interesting. So, and with the COVID vaccine, anti-vax folks, it might be interesting. It may be too volatile. We'll see how they decide to do it. But
it's YouTube we are not actually talking about, Vid.
In The Last of Us, it's you'd think. So, quick question, or maybe we could ask this in the recap.
Yeah.
But the question is does that show have the same impact it did in 2013 when it came out post COVID? Like do you if this came out, that show came out in 2019, would we feel the same about it?
No, I don't think so. I mean it again, here's the political appetite for it is that this particular environmental group, and this is going to be interesting because believes that the planet is dying, and the only real solution to the problem is to kill, everybody, and just have a small select few people who are elites, of course, left over, and they'll be responsible for repopulating the earth, and of course made in their own image. And they use in the book they use a virus. They spread it actually at the Olympics, the 2000 Olympics in Australia. So they have and so they have this is Rainbow Six. So they spread a virus that they miraculously have a cure for, and so they give everybody that gets infected this cure, and then
turns into a zombie apocalypse.
Well, no, what happens is
basically
they don't give everybody. The virus is still spreading because they haven't been able to. They haven't managed to give it to everybody. That's the plan. Is that they'll give everybody this vaccine. Only there's two vaccines. There's one vaccine for them, which actually vaccinates them against the virus, and then there is a second vaccine that actually just contains the virus. And so it triggers and kills, because everybody's panicked about getting this vaccine because they don't want to die from this deadly virus that's spreading around. And so they actually put a
they
thing
actually
in.
End up giving themselves.
They actually give, that's the game plan. Cool. is to do it. And so the Rainbow guys have to figure out,
action.
Yeah, and try and stop it. It ends deliciously. It ends in a delicious way. I'll just say that. It's
don't give it away.
No, it's a righteous ending, though. I'll tell you that much. So,
well, that sounds pretty much like that's what they'll go with for the movie.
Because but I was saying is, like, if you have the political appetite for it, it's very dangerous, because there's a significant portion of the population that fears that we are overpopulating the planet, and that killing a bunch of people is probably the right thing to do. And not them, of course, but like other people, the bad people. And then on top of that, there's a significant portion of people who are anti-vax who believe that that's exactly what happened, is that they've spread this thing. And it's like, you're gonna piss off a bunch of people on both sides of the aisle, I think, on this one. So but we'll see. So,
well, and now after watching the last two episodes of The Last of Us, Banana and I think that there's going to be a real fungal outbreak through mushrooms, and because we don't eat mushrooms, we're gonna be okay.
You should be fine.
Anybody who else?
I love mushrooms.
Anybody who else?
Yep.
You might have to watch out for flour.
I can't wait to talk more about that. Okay.
About that karate.
Next on the rundown, we got a hype trailer from Netflix showing all of their movie properties for 2023. Some of them we've known about. We didn't maybe not have a release date until now. We just did our episode last week about movies coming out this year, and there was a lot of these that didn't have a release date, but a couple that jumped off the page for me was first Luther, The Fallen Sun, which is the Idris Elba TV show made into a movie now for Netflix. Extraction 2, actually Murder Mystery, that the line in there kind of made a little. Extraction 2, Heart of Stone, and what was which is the
Rebel?
Millie Bobby Brown one?
Oh, Damsel.
Damsel with the dragon, and the sword. Looked awesome. What did you think? I'll start with you, Morgan. What was some of the stuff that
Damsel did stand out? I'm thinking what Murder Mystery, only because I didn't see the first one, and I was just talking to Eric, and obviously everybody says it's good, so I gotta watch that.
It's an Adam Sandler movie, dude. It's an Adam Sandler movie, so it's like a cruise. Like, you're either a cruise person or you're not a cruise person, or you're like an Adam Sandler fan or you're not an Adam Sandler. Because if you're an Adam Sandler fan, you're gonna love the movie.
Well, it's like my wife. She hates Jim Carrey.
Yeah. Okay.
So Jim Carrey's one of those, you love him or you're gonna hate him. Nobody's in between on him.
Yeah.
Leave the World Behind, because I'm usually always into anything that could be apocalypse related.
Yeah.
So
which one was that one?
That's the one with all the Teslas dead on the road.
Yeah, and like everything was overgrown.
Yeah.
What? I have to go back and try to find that one.
It's the one that looks like
it's
the apocalypse.
Okay.
And then
At least you won't have a hard time finding a battery. That's the Last
And
of
then
Us
Rebel
joke.
Moon.
That's the Last of Us joke. Sorry, I get that.
Rebel Moon. I'm intrigued just because it's supposed to be like Zack Snyder's answer to Star Wars.
Why he's on this earth? Oh,
Is there a Star Killer base in that one? Do you think?
Star Killer base. Yeah. So I'm just intrigued, and that's the one that they kind of leaned on the most at the end. So they're expecting it to be something.
Sure, they sure hyped it up more than I thought they would throughout considering it's the farthest one away. I don't know. Eric, anything stand out?
Kind of same list as you guys, honestly. I'll add in you people. I think I love Eddie Murphy, so I'm looking forward to seeing Eddie Murphy, especially in that dad role. With Jonah Hill, because Jonah does awkward very
awkward,
well.
Very
he does
good.
very well. So I think that's gonna look pretty well. Look pretty good. Your Place or Mine. I'll probably watch that with the wife. Luther, very excited for that one. Murder Mystery 2, very excited for that one. The Mother, I'll probably watch that with Stace too. She'll probably want to watch that one. Extraction 2, love that. They cloned Tyrone. Actually, I can't tell if that's gonna be funny or
I couldn't tell either.
I'm not sure. So I'm on the bubble with that one, but just because, I don't know. I like if they go like a funny, like the name by itself, but is like they clone Tyrone. I'm not sure what that. Anyhow, all right. So Heart of Stone, I think looks really great.
There's some rumors coming out of Heart of Stone that it's really gonna be good.
Yeah. Damsel, I think looked really good. The Killer, actually, that's the one with Gal, right? Or is that the one with
No,
Captain
Heart of Stone
America?
is with. Oh yeah, that one. What was that one with Captain America? That was Ghosted.
Leo?
Is that
or was that Painkillers?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Man.
That one looked
Ghosted
all right.
wasn't in there, right?
Yeah, now I gotta go back and watch
The
it.
the scene from A Family Affair, I think looks funny. I just because I love Nicole Kidman and I just think Zac Efron is a really funny dude. Like he's a really funny dude. So I think A Family Affair is probably something I'll watch. Leave the World Behind and then Rebel Moon for sure. I you know what I'm not a Zach like
Pain Hustlers.
apostle.
Chris Evans is Pain Hustlers.
Yeah, Pain Hustlers.
Just
okay,
so
thanks.
Pain Hustlers.
I'm not like a disciple of the guy, but I enjoy most of the time. I enjoy what he pumps out. I do. It's like a lot of it's I don't have to worry about stressing over or thinking about anything. It's just going to be mindless, and I can watch it and have a good time. So.
I love Man of Steel. I like Batman v Superman.
I do too.
I liked his Justice League more than Joss Whedon's Justice League.
Yeah.
I liked 300.
Loved 300.
Loved 300. But that one steampunk one I didn't like at all. I don't know.
Oh, the Sin City?
No, the steampunk one.
City.
Oh. Didn't he do Sin City?
No.
Robert Rodriguez?
Oh.
But yeah, and
Right.
George Miller.
George Miller.
I think that's George Miller's comics. Yeah. Anyway.
Steampunk Zack Snyder.
I know. I cannot think
That's going to bug the hell out of me.
That is going to bug me. Anyway, let's move on from Netflix. Got some good stuff. Cannot wait for Extraction 2. I just need that movie in my life. Man.
Yeah, so let me ask you then, what on that list then, is that your number one? Is Extraction 2 your number one on that list?
Easy number one.
Yep.
Is Extraction 2. I'm really getting excited about what I'm hearing from Heart of Stone.
Sucker Punch.
Sucker Punch. That's it. That movie sucked.
Yeah. He also did Watchmen. I like that one.
So when he adapts stuff, I think he does well. Although I didn't like the Watchmen.
Nobody's perfect, buddy. Nobody's perfect.
Yeah, I know. I gotta have.
It's one of the most faithful comic book adaptations.
Did you say Pain Hustlers was the one with Chris Evans?
Yeah.
That looked really good.
Yeah. We'll see how the.
I don't remember what the killer was.
We'll see. That's the one with Gal Gadot, right?
Yeah, that's the one with Gal.
It's not hardest. What's the Hardest Stone? Why can't I think of that one?
have to look it up.
And
MDB to the rescue.
If the killer is the one with Gal Gadot, then that's the one I'm excited.
Gal Gadot, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Is it?
I was going crazy there for a second.
What's the killer then?
Yeah, what is the killer? I thought that one was the one with Chris
Michael
Evans.
Fassbender?
What?
Tilda Swinton?
What?
That's what popped up as very first thing that popped up for the killer.
Oh.
2023. An assassin begins to psychologically crack as he develops a conscience, even as his clients continue to demand his skills.
Yes, please, Michael. I need more.
Yeah, I mean,
Michael Fassbender in my life. I always forget he's in 300 too, by the way.
I misspoke then. The one I'm actually interested is the hardest one. The one with Gal Gadot, I thought looked really good. So the killer,
that
I'm
one
not
looks
sure.
really great.
We'll see, but
that damsel one, Banana and I just watched it. Noah Holmes, Millie Bobby Brown is a absolute just miracle. How she can own the entire screen.
I'll let this. I'll let Meg. This one's a Meg special here. I adore her. I do adore her. She's really terrific.
Yeah, I do adore her for sure. She was great in that. Looking forward to Noah Holmes too. Something else that I thought I was going to be looking forward to until some certain details came out about it next on the rundown.
Yeah.
A third movie in the Tron trilogy has been announced. Tron Ares is the title of the movie. And tapped to star is Jared Leto. No word on anybody else. And then directing is a guy that goes by the name of what I'm hoping and assuming is Joaquin Running, who directed Maleficent, Mistress of Evil. So I think, was that the second Maleficent?
Mm-hmm.
And Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales. So he's really hit it out of the park with these two, and now he's getting handed a movie that I'm a fan of. The sequel to the movie I'm a fan of, Tron Legacy, one of the greatest soundtracks of all time.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought really great performances from Garrett Hedlund and Jeff Bridges, and of course
Olivia Wilde.
Olivia Wilde, back in the good days of Olivia Wilde. Trying to screw over my man Ted Lasso.
Yeah, man.
Anyway, I don't know, man. Eric, does any of this make sense or get you hyped for the third Tron movie?
I'm not. Yes and no. I just am not a
Jared Leto.
I just don't like Jared Leto. I just really don't.
I'm over him.
Yeah. I just feel like, I don't know.
You're over me?
Yeah. I just don't have, I just don't. Okay. So Tron came out in it was 20, 30 years between, 25 years between.
It was
Tron. It was 2010 when the movie came out. So it was, and I think it came out in 83 or something like that. So it was it was 20 some years between now. And now we're looking at least 12 years between the last one and this one, and do we really want to call them a trilogy? Because I mean, they're the last one, the Tron Legacy, there was a direct, there's a direct link between Flynn and his son, and it worked. I don't know what they're going to do with this, so we'll see. So I love. That being said, love the light cycles, love the whole world that they have built in there. Don't understand why it continues to be difficult to make these movies. Why it took them to 2010 to make the other one. And
let me add a little bit to that. You have the guy who directed the 2010 movie just put out the second, the biggest top 5 movie of all time in Top Gun Maverick. And you go with this guy as the director?
Well, right. I don't think Kaczynski would come back for that one. I really don't,
maybe he wanted some redemption.
I don't know.
And then they're like, you got to hire Jared Leto. And he's like, nope, sorry, thanks.
Yeah, I don't know that needed redemption. I mean, it was like a $200 million movie, and it made like 400 some odd million dollars. You know, and
it's considered a flop though.
Yeah, and
I like I said, I'm a big fan of it. I loved it. I was very entertained by it.
I think that the longer that movie ages, the better it gets. If at least that's been my impression of it. Is the older that movie gets, the better it gets. I really liked Garrett Hedlund. I really, and he was a guy that I would like to have seen Hollywood do more with, but they kind of cast him in everything and then stopped casting him for everything. So
he didn't have a lot of charisma.
Yeah,
I thought in this movie he actually, this was like his most charismatic role by far.
Yeah.
Outside of that, he was not a charismatic guy.
Yeah. Well, and I love, Bridges. Jeff Bridges, of course, is terrific. And gosh, that scene in the arena, where the disc wars and stuff. Oh my gosh, so cool with the light cycle wars. Cool. Just so many neat components to that.
Yeah. Are you a Tron fan, Morg?
Nah.
No, not at all.
I didn't watch the original Tron. I saw parts of the second. I mean, it will be neat to see this and see Jared Leto say it's Tron in time. That could be cool. But we'll see. I mean, we'll see. No, I mean, I'm not really interested. I never got into Tron.
Wow. Okay. I'm sorry.
And the bad.
Tron. The first Tron and the sequel to Tron reminds me a lot of the Blade Runner, where a lot of people aren't huge fans of the originals, but yet the like new age sequels maybe didn't perform as well, but have like a good cult following on it. So
right.
I will be my hype level is at -3 right now, so it's going to take a lot for me to get excited about that.
Yeah.
Something else I will not need a whole lot of like kick in the pants to get excited about is.
Oh, nice. Well done. Well done.
Thank you. I was really sweating that one.
Nice
Cobra
transition.
Kai, 6th season will be the show's final season. I've got a couple big thoughts about that. One being, I think it's time, and two, where does the story go? We've gotten cameos from just about everybody except for Hilary Swank, and you know what? I know people are clamoring for that, but that movie sucked. So if they don't want to bring it back, maybe Hilary doesn't want to revisit that role.
We need her to complete the Miyagi verse.
I think Jaden Smith drops in.
It's not needed. from the alternate universe, the alternate Karate Kid universe.
The
that would be
Kid
funny
in
if
China.
Jaden Smith,
So actually, it's called Wushu.
I always like the joke that said that the Jaden Smith sequel was him going back to Detroit, like in reverse of the Karate Kid.
Karate Kid,
to Japan.
Yeah.
He gets bullied by the local Karate Kid in Detroit. Anyway, so for the final season, where do we go? We've already got closure on everything, I feel like, or we've gotten a cameo from everybody we needed a cameo from. Sure, bring back Hilary Swank, fine, whatever. It's not, for me, it does nothing for me. I want to know how they're going to end this show, and will this be bad guy from old? Will Michael Ironside come back? And that would not be good. I'm not a fan of that. Where do you think they take this, Eric?
I'm really not sure. I think there's still some outstanding. I think there's still some outstanding stuff with Kreese. Like I think they wrapped up what's his name pretty well, but who knows? He's a billionaire. He's probably got a ton of lawyers and stuff like that, so he'll probably get out of that. But
absolutely.
I hope they don't bring him back.
Yeah,
I feel like they closed that.
Yeah,
didn't they close the story on Kreese with him in prison?
No, he escaped.
No, he escaped. Remember at the end?
Oh, that's right.
He stole that lady's badge. So there's still some.
That's right.
There's still some because that's all it takes to get out of prison is just have a badge.
Badge, you just walk right out.
That's right.
So yeah. So I think there's still some unfinished business there with Kreese. We'll see if that character can finally grow and wrap up that storyline, if you will. And I'd kind of like to see Johnny and Daniel go into business together or something, just something, just
make
the
it
two
final.
of them. Just
put a ring on it, dude.
Yeah, man. Just get it together. The two of you, just hug
Make
it
like
out
Brett
or do whatever you
King
got to do.
and put a ring on it.
And then I really would like to see a happy ending between what's his name?
Miguel.
No,
Johnny's kid
and
Johnny Jr.
Johnny's kid.
Yeah, Johnny's kid, and then the kid
name?
that was beating up Daniel's.
Close your mouth.
I can't remember what his name is, but
kid that was beating. He was the guy who turned on. Yeah, he turned on Cobra Kai.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now he saw the light. What is his name?
I'm trying to figure out what that kid's name is, but anyhow,
yeah.
I just would like to see him stop being such a
Robbie.
Yeah, Robbie.
Robbie. Robbie Keith.
Well, I'd like to see that one kid. Trying to figure out what his name is, but anyhow, I'd like to see them kind of wrap it up with them. I just would like to see everybody not be dicks anymore.
Kenny
Payne.
Kenny Payne.
Yep.
Stingray. Obviously, we gotta.
Yeah, I'd like to see Robbie and Kenny get it. I'd like to see Kenny not be such an asshole. Like, I think at the end of the day is what I'd really like to see his character
redemption.
maybe get redeemed. And I'm not sure how you do that. You probably have to have him be saved by LaRusso's kid from something or whatever. But anyhow, I don't know how
maybe
do it, but
maybe. Or maybe he saves LaRusso's kid from something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Morgan, I know that you're a more recent fan, but
I am
still a fan.
I think, honestly, I think it's going to end with all of them in prison. Because they're going to go into the real world and realize you just can't beat the shit out of whoever you're having trouble with. So I think that's how it's going to end, because these kids have not been raised right at all, and they get away with a lot. No, I think
if this ends any other way.
Yeah, it's not.
It's going to be
Wilson
disappointing.
is not on a jet ski.
Yeah, it's going to be something to do with Kreese. He escaped. That's going to be important. We can't just let that go. It's going to be something to do with him. So I don't know if it's just going to be like some last official. They all have to team up to stop him from doing something, or what.
It's like, what does he have though?
Maybe we'll get another katana slicing people
one more
up.
All Valley. I think we're gonna get one more All Valley.
Right? It has to be All Valley. But who is it? Who? That it's got to end at All Valley, right? That's.
Well, wait, didn't the last season end with them announcing that they were both that both teams were selected to go to the World Championship thing?
Oh,
remember?
That does ring a bell.
Yeah, that's how it ended. They tied. They said they were both good enough.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, they're both going over to that World Karate. Yep.
Okay, so
I think maybe that's what it's going to have to be. It's going to have to be.
It's not an All Valley. They're winning a world championship.
All world.
And the only way to win is they're going to have to all work together. That's good.
Yeah.
And
it's all about family.
Hillary Swank will be judging.
Oh man, or she has like the all Switzerland team or something. Yeah. She went back to Japan to learn more Miyagi-Do and has like the champion from Japan. All right, well, that will be sad. It has grown, that little nerd seed grew in me a long time ago. I just never will ever forget Eric talking about it on YouTube Red and being like, dude, this show is amazing. And
yep.
No, it's on YouTube Red,
YouTube Red.
Yeah, I had YouTube.
He was the only one I
read right from the very beginning. I hated watching commercials in YouTube. I hated it. It's like, you know what? I'll pay the $10. I don't even care.
Yeah. Dude, and then YouTube Premium is, if you're not paying for YouTube Premium, what are you? I mean, how do you do it? Let's finish off the rundown with a quick trailer train, couple trailers that I've got some good questions. I'll start with you on this one, Morgan. D&D, Dungeons and Dragons. Second trailer. Hype level? Question mark?
I'd say I'm hyped. I'm not like through the roof, but I'm hyped that this trailer had a lot more action in it than the other one. It looks like good visuals. I mean, I think it's going to be a fun movie. I think it'll be a fun movie.
It looks really fun.
I think my son will enjoy it. I think it's going to be a good one. I think it's going to be a good one. I don't think I'm like going to walk away, my mind blown, and I need a sequel, but I think it's going to be good.
Okay. So okay. This is probably the first time I was like, I'm enjoying Michelle Rodriguez. So
God, you know what, dude? I cannot believe that you said that because I feel the exact same way.
Let it alone.
Like I just
don't talk about
have
family
not
like that.
liked her in a lot of stuff. Like I don't know what it is, but man, in this I was like, oh, she's actually fun. You know, like she seems like really fun, like real, lighthearted, and I love seeing her.
Chris Prim though is so funny in this.
Oh yeah,
Chris Prim.
Yeah, I think the whole cast, top to bottom, is going to be really funny. I think that the nice thing about this is that they're not going to take it. They're taking it serious, but not too seriously, and all that. So I feel the same way as Morg. I am debating whether I'm taking the kids to see it, but for sure, I really am looking forward to this. Yeah.
I think it'd be a fun one to take the kids to if they're not afraid of their own shadow like my kids. But you know who actually I thought was an MVP of the trailer was the kid from Jurassic World, the second one, Fallen Kingdom, and the Pokemon movie with Ryan Reynolds.
Pokemon Pikachu Detective or Detective Pikachu.
Yeah, he was really funny in this trailer, and he like boasts up. He like gives himself more bass in his voice. It's really funny. So I'm excited. Great cast. Always there for Chris Prim. Next, big trailer that we got last week was the Scream 6 official trailer, official full trailer. So I know when we got a tease about it not too long ago when we talked about it, we're like, we haven't even seen the fifth one.
I saw the fifth one.
Does this trailer that shows Ghostface in New York City? It's the first time it's been outside of like a small town thing, and it's in a big city. He's shooting people in gas, not in gas stations, but in
the bodega.
Like 7-Elevens, in bodegas. Got a scarier looking mask. It looks worn. But the main theme of the Scream series is it's always somebody you know. Anyway, does the trailer, like I watched it and I was like, okay, I feel like I need to get caught up on this because this looks like it has some freshness to it, which this franchise desperately needs. You agree with that, Eric? Or is it still
I do. I'm waffling between and it does look interesting because I do like that it would seem to be that it's the reason why it's in New York is not only is the girl gone there, but all of a sudden there's a person there that has collected all of those
trophy room.
Scream suits and masks and stuff from the killers, and so clearly there's a I'm your number one fan going on there. So I do find the change of venue actually okay. I'm okay with that. I'm not a big New York City fan, but it does lend itself to a different level of terror too, because like the one scene on the subway, where it's like it's Halloween. And, there's like 5 kids wearing that mask and one killer wearing the mask, and so you're like, oh, it's could be bad. But all in all, when does it come out?
March something. Remember, it was in the it was in one of those like March had like it was either 6 or 9.
I'm not.
I
think it was like 9 movies in March.
When did that come out in October?
It did not make our top 5.
I'm not going to go to the theater and see it, but I'll probably watch it at home with Stace. Although we do need to watch. I think we need to watch 4 and 5, and so we got 3.
I definitely need to watch 5 now. After seeing this show, I'm like, I'm interested in seeing this play out.
Yeah.
Similar vibes, Morg?
Yeah, no? I mean, I saw 5. I've seen them all. I was with 5. Good at first. I didn't like the way it went. It's intriguing to see the different setting, but like the only problem, like when they showed him shooting up the
Bodega.
Quickie Mart, and like you're in New York, like you're spending a little too long in that gas station shooting it up and stabbing people. Like you're gonna have a decent response time when that's happening. So like that's the thing where it's like when it was in the small town, like they're committing these one-off murders, but when you're going on a shooting spree with a shotgun in New York City, people are gonna know. So like I am intrigued to see what they're doing with it, but yeah, like I'll catch it just like Scream 5. I think we put it on because likes the Scream movies, and I was like, I'll rent this or whatever it was because it was around Halloween time, and let's watch this. And so like
I still feel like I just shoot him in his stupid face. So
I know that's a big thing. Like the fact that all
you
these
like ducked out of that in that trailer. You're like ducked out of the way of that shotgun. I'm like yeah, this guy's got a sawed off scatter gun. Like, and you're ducking through the chip aisle. Like that's not how that works. But okay,
it pisses me off when movies get like
Fool me once. I mean, how many times do you have to have a serial killer come after you before you're just permanently packing heat? Like, come on.
Yeah. It's like Herschel's unlimited shotgun in the end season finale of Walking Dead season 2.
Yeah.
He's just like firing like 20 shots out of a shotgun.
Evil Dead ass shirt pocket.
It really pisses me off when you get guns wrong in movies.
As a firearms person myself, I even said something to Morgan while I was watching it. I was like, what's with the one-handed handgun usage in this movie? Like everybody in here's one-handing a handgun. I'm like,
because they have to hold the landline phone.
Yeah.
Or else the whole calling premise doesn't work.
Yeah.
Again, as I said before, when you just give up on the landline.
Isn't that how Stu held the gun in the first one? Like,
how many times do you have to be attacked by a serial killer whose whole premise is he has to call you on a landline first to mess with you?
Yeah, that's how.
So you're like, let's just not get a landline this time. We're done with that.
I'm gonna cut my chances of being killed by a serial killer by at least 90%.
I don't know. Block. Never answer it.
Never answering that. And reported.
Yeah.
We got a very fun nerd box question from our very own nerd Morgan Santo.
Yeah.
Morgan Santo, he put this in the nerd box bank when we were on break, and I was excited to bring this on because I feel like there's going to be some differing opinions here. So, Morgan, do you want to read your own question, Morgan?
Yeah. So my question was, Quentin Tarantino has said that the 90s were a better time for movies than the 80s were. So do you disagree or disagree, and why?
You want to start? Eric?
No, you start.
Okay. Pressure's on. I like it. I'm more of a 90s guy myself when it comes to movies. So I may be biased in this, but maybe that's why I'm picking the 90s, because when you look at some of the all-time banger movies of all time that came from the 90s, they are higher on the upper echelon than the all-time bangers of the 80s. Like when you think about, if you the 1980s All-Stars in the NBA versus the 1990s All-Stars, you got some greats from both eras and maybe some carryover, but I'm probably picking the greats from the 90s. Either way, terrible analogy. Forrest Gump, Shawshank Redemption, Gladiator, Braveheart. And then you skip over to the 90s action movies, and I think there's a really good nerd debate down the road about what action genre is better, the 80s action genre or the 90s action genre, which I think we can really get into.
Yeah.
But then you think about Independence Day, Armageddon, Pearl Harbor, The Matrix. Again, it's like all-time bangers, a little bit heavier in the 90s.
Didn't say that.
Which one?
Jurassic Park, if you didn't say that.
Oh yeah, then you have like one
Toy Story.
Toy Story. I feel like the scales are tipped. And that is very hard for me to say because my two favorite movies of all time, Back to the Future 1 and Empire Strikes Back, are from the 80s. I grew up in the 80s. I have very, 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 very close ties to the 80s. But I think about, you start putting the all-time greats against the all-time greats, what's going to win? So I say that so we can listen to Eric's answer.
I want
to hear Mork's.
Oh, okay. So mine is the 90s. I do agree with.
Pushing me off, Eric.
Completely with this. I mean, everything Darren said, just everything he said. I mean, the 90s is when, there was also a lot of big technological advancements with movies and like we said, Toy Story, that was huge. Yeah. We went from cartoons to now we're in real CGI, The Matrix, which was revolutionary. I mean, Die Hard with a Vengeance was 1995, and that's my second favorite Die Hard movie. So
that doesn't help the argument, though.
I know, but but it's also.
I get what you're saying.
There's a lot of people that's their second favorite Die Hard movie.
Terminator 2.
Terminator 2, probably the best sequel ever made.
Yeah, greatest action movie ever made.
Yeah, and that's
True Lies.
One of the greatest. Lies again, universally. Kindergarten Cop. I'm just listening to Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I know,
stuff, but I'm stuck in Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Well, he was big in the 80s and 90s. That's like your carryover. It's like your Michael Jordan. He's going to be on. Like Michael Jordan's going to be on the 80s and the 90s All Stars.
I mean, I think we can all agree Saving Private Ryan is one of the greatest films ever made.
Saving Private freaking Ryan.
Mm-hmm. Saving Private Ryan.
It's the greats versus the greats.
What? Judge Dredd was Sylvester Stallone, or was that 80s? I don't know.
Yeah,
that was 90s.
Damn.
Judge Dredd was. Yeah, I think Judge Dredd was.
That's a guilty pleasure. See you in the 90s.
Freaking, oh my gosh, Speed? Are you kidding me?
Speed.
Twister.
I didn't think of Speed.
GoldenEye. James Bond is relaunched in the 90s.
Yep. GoldenEye, yeah. Oh my goodness.
Batman Returns, Batman Forever, Batman Robin. But so it's gonna be a really good debate, and I hope it spurs a lot of comments online because I hope we have a lot of differing opinions.
No, I want to hear what Captain Tunsil is going to say too.
Yeah. So, Eric, tell us, who do you pick? 80s or 90s? Better time for movies.
Titanic. Sorry, go on.
I am going to go with the 80s. I think are better than the
Tombstone.
90s.
That's Eric's favorite movie.
Yeah. And my reasoning for that is a couple of different things. Technology was better in the 90s, and so you could throw a piece of shit out there, and as long as it had cool special effects, people were like, "Oh, this is amazing," or whatever. But also, budgets were bigger. Like you had a lot bigger budgets for films and stuff like that than you did for the 80s. They didn't quite have inflation.
Is it equal?
Because you have to think about the economy, and then also the country's temperament coming out of the 70s, the exhaustion from the Vietnam War, high inflation. You had a lot of unemployment, and things just kind of spiraled in the 70s. It was not a good time. And then a little in the late 70s, little known movie, Star Wars came out, kind of changed things, set things on fire. And then you had 1980, you had another independent film called Empire Strikes Back that came out. There's another guy from the same creator who wears a fedora and has a whip on his you guys remember him?
Kid show.
Indiana
Easy.
Jones. Indiana Jones. That's right. That's right.
Talk about my player.
Nobody.
It is the beginning of franchises in the 80s.
It is. Arnold Schwarzenegger was huge. You had all the Conan movies. You had Predator. You had Running Man. You had Commando. There were a ton of ton of that stuff. Stallone
Rocky
had all the Rambo,
franchise.
First Blood, Rambo, Part 2. You had some really, really great stuff. And you got Jim Cameron really burst onto the scene with Aliens. Small little independent movie he made, so pretty good.
Not indie
and The
movies.
Abyss. What's that?
It's in a lot of indie movies.
Yeah. And then what's the other guy? He wears a cape. He's got the pointy ears.
Oh yeah, he made a few appearances.
Yeah,
in the 90s.
the Batman. Yeah, Batman. With Michael Keaton. I remember that. So
Yeah.
It was Darkwing Duck.
in all jest, there are some terrific movies in the 80s and terrific movies in the 90s. We're blessed to have had them, have had them both. I look back a little more fondly, I think, on the 80s movies, just because a lot of what the 90s did, was take a lot of franchises that came out of the 80s and they just tweaked the formula a little bit and made something a little bit new. But you had Die Hard
on a bus.
Well, everything was Die Hard. Everything was Die Hard in the 90s.
Yeah.
It was Die Hard on this, Die Hard that, but
Die Hard on a
Die Hard was.
I'd like to kind of argue that The Rock. Come on.
We just
that
didn't we just have this conversation
right
I
there.
think
The Rock.
Darren and I just had this conversation
that
the Rock may be a James Bond movie. Like
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's
Beauty
right.
and the Beast.
Yeah. Yeah.
Face
Well,
Off.
I mean, Lion King.
Casino.
It's Casino, Goodfellas.
Fight Club. Heat.
You don't have
It's just-
Goodfellas.
Goodfellas wasn't Goodfellas 1990.
Good Will Hunting.
92.
Have to look and see.
It's a great question. I think it's something that we should continue that conversation further down the road for sure. Right?
1990. What do we?
Goodfellas.
Oh,
Yeah.
we got that.
We
That
own
counts
it.
as us.
We
It
own
squeaks
it.
in. Yeah.
We own it.
It was filmed in the 80s. I'll just say that. It was filmed in the 80s. Released
Like I
in
said,
the
there's
90s.
some carryover. There's Michael Jordan's going to be on
Yeah.
the 80s and the 90s All
Yeah.
Stars. So I would love to talk more about 90s movies, in the presents and talk more about 90s shows in the Nerd Box. So let's see your comments. Let's hear your comments. Let's see them and hear
Read
them.
'em.
How about that? Yeah, let's read your comments online. Go on YouTube, submit a Nerd Box question. We'll shout you out on the show, and then let's get in on this 90s versus 80s movies. It doesn't even need
Lethal
to be
Weapon.
like
Lethal Weapon
80s and
2.
90s action. Well, there's some Lethal Weapon 4 was great.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, Rumble in the Bronx, all the Jackie Chan movies in the 90s. Oh man,
That's one thing we can only
Jet Li.
win. All right, so
Jet Li. Oh my gosh, Fist of Legend. Are you kidding me? That is one of the greatest kung fu movies ever. You know what's a good kung fu movie? Everything Everywhere All at Once. If you have not seen it, you should watch it as soon as you possibly can. I'll keep shouting that out. All right. Great show tonight, guys. That was a lot of fun. Great Nerd Box question, Morg.
thank you.
We will continue that conversation. Got some stuff we're looking forward to.
Bloodsport.
Okay. Hey, you can have Steven Seagal and Jean
Kickboxer.
Van Damme. Yeah, I love Kickboxer, dude. I love Bloods. Actually, I think Bloodsport's my favorite Van Damme movie.
Jingle all the way.
I
Okay.
disagree with you. Universal Soldier, I think, is my favorite.
Home Alone.
I do love
We got Home
Santa
Alone.
Claus.
We got
the
Home
Santa
Alone.
Claus.
Before Christmas.
That's why I like digging into genres because honestly, you could have a whole show where you could just say 80s action versus 90s action. It's two different kind of action movies.
Yeah.
All right, Con Air.
Anyway,
Oh my gosh,
Oh,
we didn't
yeah.
even get to 90s Nick Cage.
Cyrus the Virus.
Cyrus the Virus. Fun show, guys. Look forward to The Last of Us. The Nerd Rundown recap. The Last of Us season 1, episode 2. Infected, I think it's called.
Infected, yep.
So stay tuned for that. And with that being said, we will see you all next week on the Nerd Rundown.
See ya.